Bettor Sports Betting is your home for picks, props, and futures for tonight's action. Bettor Sports Betting wants to know what picks you're playing tonight. Tell us in the live chat on YouTube, Twitter, and the Bettor Sports Network app. This is Bettor Sports Betting with Fantasy Alarm's Dan Servodidio.
What's going on, everybody? Jon Impemba here with Dan Servodidio. Welcome into the Bettor Sports Betting Show here today. Great show on tap. We're going to talk a little Heisman update rankings here for the college football season. College basketball is kicked off. Dan's got his college basketball playbook out there. Going to give you some bets for tonight, and we'll be joined by Christopher Morais to talk a little NHL. No NBA on the slate tonight, Dan, so I don't really know what to do with myself here this evening. Obviously, with it being voting day, the NBA has decided to take the evening off here. So we got some NHL, college basketball, and college football to talk, my friend.
Yeah, I was wondering why the NBA was taken off, but I guess Election Day makes sense for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, listen, college basketball is here. I had an awesome night last night, obviously with the DFS. If you're in the Discord, you got some, late injury news and all that stuff, which, jump in the Discord if you haven't already to get all that for DFS. But betting wise, gave out 3 picks on yesterday's show, went 2-1. Also tweeted out a few, and I think ultimately I went 5-1 or 5-2. So, I'm seeing the board, I think, pretty well. So yeah, we'll get to some bets here on the show too.
Yeah, for sure. Let's kick some things off here with college football. Here we got the updated Heisman odds. I want to get your take here because obviously this was a little bit of a hot take topic over the weekend. But obviously Caleb Williams, that loss that they suffered. Now, no fault of his own. The man went out there and had a really good, stat line out there. But the shot of him crying in the stands with his parents, a lot of people felt like that was a poor look for him. With the current Heisman odds, obviously, Michael Penix Jr. now your leader in the clubhouse here. Thoughts on Caleb Williams? Talk about his current fall here with that poor record against ranked teams now kind of looming over him. Do you see that impacting his NFL draft stock and then the current Heisman Trophy odds here?
Yeah, the I guess subpar performances against like top teams is a little worrisome, I guess, when you're thinking about his NFL stock. But honestly, the USC defense is what has really cost them. I mean, I think it was giving up 52 points against Washington last week for that loss. But against the top teams, which usually have top offenses, especially in the Pac-12, the bad Trojans defense is really what's cost Caleb Williams a shot at repeating the Heisman. So I'm not shocked at I mentioned this. I don't know if you were on the show or maybe it was Grande, but just recently when we've done these Heisman odds, just saying like, trends don't back, don't say to bet on a back-to-back Heisman winner. It just doesn't usually work out that way. And yeah, I mean, Caleb Williams and the rest of the USC team they're just kind of like on that quit watch where they're just kind of looking for, next year, whether it's the NFL or USC for next season. But Bo Nix versus Michael Penix at the top of those odds, though. I think it's going to come down to those two. Penix is the rightful betting favorite now, and he has been for a few weeks after they beat Oregon in that game a few weeks ago. We're going to see it's going to be Washington versus Oregon in the Pac-12 title game. That's what it's setting up to be, unless one of these teams loses a game or two in these final weeks. So I still think there's value on Bo Nix, and I feel like it's going to come down to that Pac-12 championship, and whoever wins that, whether it's Penix, cementing himself as the Heisman winner and Washington into the college football playoff, or if it's Oregon, they barely lost to Washington on the road in that game earlier this year. And if, a couple of plays go differently, then we're talking about Bo Nix as the current Heisman favorite and Oregon being, the Pac-12 favorite to get into the college football playoffs. So it's going to come down to those two. And both these guys have tough matchups coming up. So, if you want to bet on one of these guys, their odds might even shorten because they'll improve their cases even more. Washington in their next couple games has Utah and Oregon State. So if Washington comes out there without a loss in both those and Penix is, throwing for 400 plus yards in both, then he's going to be even more of a favorite. Right. And then Bo Nix in Oregon, they have USC this week, and then Oregon State as well. So I think Oregon, though, does have a better chance of winning out the rest of the way than Washington, because Washington's defense is also kind of suspect and nearly cost them last week against USC. So we'll see. But, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, these two guys, I think, going into the Pac-12 championship might be playing for the Heisman as well as, a berth to the college football playoff.
Looking at the guy with the third best odds here, you have Jayden Daniels coming off there, a loss. Alabama still plus 300, but do you find him maybe starting to slide down the list here for LSU?
Yeah, this is a tough one for him because of his team suffered a couple losses. Now they have 3 losses, does LSU, and I think he would have really vaulted, maybe even been the betting favorite if LSU does beat Alabama this past week, but they do lose. But Daniels, this guy he's putting up stats every single week. So from like a raw stats perspective, he is, I think, the best, has the best case. But those 3 losses, I mean, it's just when you look back at history at past Heisman winners, it's very rare for a Heisman winner to be from a team that has 3 or more losses. I think maybe one of the last ones was Lamar Jackson, but he obviously just kind of took the country by storm with his dual threat playmaking. Daniels is putting up stats, but I think this loss to Alabama might have hurt his case. I do think he could be a finalist, though. I just don't see him winning it ultimately.
Thinking about some long shot odds here, if you had to make a gamble, where would you be looking to go? Other guys that could possibly take this one down.
So that next tier, I still think, JJ McCarthy, Jordan Travis, and Carson Beck are all still very much alive here. I'm writing off, obviously I said Caleb Williams. I'm writing off Dylan Gabriel now that Oklahoma just lost again. Writing off Drake May too. Some of those long shot odds. Jalen Milroe is still alive too. It's going to be tough for Marvin Harrison Jr. to win it, I think. But McCarthy, Travis, and Beck are all still very viable. And if you want to, bet on them now before some of their tougher games coming down the stretch, I would do that because McCarthy, Michigan, they get Penn State this week. If they win it, which they are favored, I do expect them to win. Then McCarthy could, jump up into being a co-betting favorite with Penix, especially if he has a good game to lead that win on the road as well. So if you want to bet McCarthy now, I think it's the chance to do it now, especially with Penn State. And then he's got Ohio State to wrap up the season. So these are two, Michigan has not played anybody. They've had a very easy schedule at this point. They're just kind of running through, not being challenged. But this is the time where it's going to be Michigan, Penn State on the national stage, 2 top-tier teams. And it's going to be a really good resume booster for McCarthy's Heisman odds. So like that's the kind of the, technically buy low on him right now if you haven't already. Carson Beck, though, Georgia just, maybe they fall in the SEC championship if they face Alabama, but I think they're going into the college football playoff undefeated. And Carson Beck has been the guy offensively. They're letting him sling it around. He's kind of flown under the radar when you're talking like top quarterbacks, but I think like college football fans know how good he's been. But he's a different kind of quarterback than we saw with Stetson Bennett leading Georgia, and they're letting Beck throw it around, and he's been doing it the last couple of games without star tight end Brock Bowers out there because he's been hurt. And Beck is still putting up numbers. He's still leading Georgia to these wins against, last week was against Missouri, who was a dangerous team, and Georgia still got it done. So I think Beck is still very much alive in this race, especially if we see, Michigan lose or if we see Washington lose a game. Like, he's very much alive if Georgia just keeps on winning. And then Jordan Travis, I've mentioned him a bunch on this when we're talking Heisman odds.
Feels like he's moved up and down so many different ways on the boards.
Yeah, because his stats, like game to game, he's not lighting it up really. They have a really strong run game. They have a really good defense. So he doesn't have to really put up these big numbers every week. He does sometimes, but Florida State's been winning, without him being, a Jayden Daniels type guy where he's putting these big numbers. So, but Florida State is in prime, spot to go into the college football playoff undefeated. I don't see them losing, the rest of the way here or in the ACC title game. So like he's a guy that's just still kind of flying under the radar for me.
Yeah.
And he's another guy, like if some of these top teams lose, like if Washington gets upset, if Michigan loses, if Georgia, drops the game at some point, Florida State could go in, undefeated with Travis leading the way. So I still think he's very much alive in this too.
Yeah, I just think that. So check out all of Dan's college football work, obviously over at Fantasy Alarm. He does your college football DFS playbooks and also brings you his college football best bets as well. You can find that all over there on the Fantasy Alarm website. You go to fantasyalarm.com/win here. Take advantage of our All-Pro offer today. Get exclusive access to all of our premium content on site and access to our premium Discord there as well, where you can find Dan dropping nuggets into that college football and college basketball DFS and betting channels as well. Of course, we also have a very active NHL DFS channel, so it's a good time now to bring in our guy Chris Morais, talk a little NHL action here this evening. Chris, how are we doing?
I'm doing good. It's another great day for hockey. I found out earlier this morning that the NBA is off today since the influx is coming in. So that's how I know that we get James Grande about once or twice a year when the NBA is off. He just kind of, wiggles his way into the NHL DFS Discord.
Yeah, we're puck
that's
guys
exactly
today,
how that went.
We're ready to play some puck.
We open the door, everybody's welcome in. Grab your wagon, sit down, get your bolus wings, get your beverage of choice. Let's just, let's pound away at this later.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, so we do have a big hockey slate on tap tonight, so should be fun to dive into not just DFS but betting. I want to ask you before we get into any specific games or bets, props for tonight. Your just kind of overall view of this beginning of the season. Is there any teams that you're now just kind of looking to fade when they come up on the schedule, or teams that you're automatically looking to bet on just based on your kind of early takeaways of how this first few weeks have gone?
I think the word I would use for the NHL up till now is chaos. That is exactly the best way to describe it. If you had the Edmonton Oilers with only 2 wins on the year, after the month of October, you can cash in your $1 million check, because I don't think many people saw that. It's easy to beat up on the San Jose Sharks because they are a Mickey Mouse hockey team here. I think the biggest surprise for myself has been watching the Vancouver Canucks just go out there and steamroll some of their opponents. This looks like a very good hockey team. Thatcher Demko looks absolutely like a stud. He is playing very, very well. On the flip side as well, Calgary just looks like a mess. Everybody was beating up on Daryl Sutter, blaming him. He's not there anymore, so we got to blame somebody else, and I think it's time to blame some of the players there. So there's definitely been a lot of surprises, a lot of teams that I wish would be doing better. But there are some teams I just like to target for betting. Any team that the Washington Capitals play, you can take the under on their goals. They've clearly forgotten how to put the puck in the net. So they're an easy one. And again, the San Jose Sharks, in any way, shape, or form, when they are on the schedule, you can just go ahead and smash the over.
I had to ask you, because I thought there was like hyperbole being played here when they said the San Jose Sharks have now given up 10 goals in back-to-back games. And I was like 10 goals total? No. They've allowed 20 goals total, which is this is hockey, right? Were they using a goalie? Like what was in net? Were they just playing? They had somebody there, like a placeholder, I guess, right? That's the best way to describe Mackenzie Blackwood. I thought like they had like that hockey net guy that as a child you'd like put up and pick. Look, that might be better, right? Like,
no offense to Capo Caco or Mackenzie Blackwood, but I think that hockey net would stop more pucks than they are right now. It's just not going well.
So I got to ask you then, like Philadelphia, I don't consider to be a great team. They have Travis Konecny obviously here, but like. -1.5 goals on Philly tonight's +130. Are we?
No, we're going farther than that. We're going -2.5. The -1.5 is basically now the money line when you play the San Jose Sharks. That's just so the money line you can't play because it's so inflated, as it should be. And the puck line in general just feels like a money line. Like San Jose is going to lose. The question is by how many. And I feel like losing by 2 goals is just like the bar is too low there. That's
9 straight games they've lost by 2 goals. So
they have given up they've scored four goals, I think, in the last 5. They've given up like 30. So this is a team that is just, they have no idea what's going on. I'm not saying that if they played an AHL team that they would lose in that fashion, but I think that game would be a little bit too close for my liking. So if you take the best AHL team and have them play the San Jose Sharks, that game is too close for what it should be right now. So I have already hammered the -2.5 total, which you can get, I think, at +230, which is still a gift somewhere there. So, I mean, I just can't see.
Has it at +175, +3 or -3.5 goals is +390. If we think they're really that bad,
I got them -2.5, -2.5 at +230 this morning. I guess the rest of the world has wagoned onto it as they should have. They kind of woke up and they reminded that San Jose was in action tonight. So I have a ton of Travis Konecny in a ton of places. Sean Couturier is expected to skate. He's back in the lineup, so that's good. Even without Carter Hart, it doesn't really matter. This is just not a good team. So I've hammered away at the -2.5 because, again, it's not a question of if they lose or if they lose by 1. To me, I think they'll be down probably 3-4-0 within the first 40 minutes of this hockey game.
So we can bet that then. Do you think the first 8 line then? We take Philly first 8?
I mean, I would take Philly first 10. I would take them first period. I'd take them in regulation. I would take them as far as however much money right now is on the home equity. That's how much I would probably go to in any other different ways. Whatever the alternate puck line is offered right now for San Jose, I'd sprinkle in a couple of units, however many, even if it's a quarter each alternate. I mean, can't say no at this point.
Love it.
How about some other games tonight that you have your eye on for game bets that you like, whether it's totals or money lines, spreads, anything?
I've gone with the Montreal Canadiens tonight. Tampa Bay is in town, and that usually spells havoc. We saw Tampa Bay just come out to a flying start against the Leafs. And then those dreaded 4-0, 4-1 leads after one, just, the ones that you can't keep. They didn't really play that well against Toronto. I think they just beat up on the fact that Ilya Samsonov can't stop a beach ball right now. So that was kind of unfortunate. But there's just nothing that I really enjoy there from them. I like the value that the Montreal Canadiens provide. They're at minus. The puck line was a little bit too much for me. I didn't want to sprinkle that far in. I do think that they can win in regulation. Jake Allen is expected to start. He has been very, very good to start the year. Montreal is a much better team on home ice. Tampa Bay can't win on the road. They're 1-4-1 on the road, which is very un-Tampa Bay like. So having them come into Montreal in a back-to-back with the Montreal Canadiens play well at home, it just felt like a good time to get behind them and grab into that value that I could get. So that was one that I was hammering away. I also think that there's a little bit of value on Colorado here. Colorado has struggled a little bit. They've gotten shut out 3 times in their last 5 games. So that's probably not a good spot for them. But, there's no Jack Hughes. There's no Nico Hischier. It kind of gets a little bit thin down the middle. Dawson Mercer scored his first goal in of the season. I don't like what's going on with Timo Meier yet. He's just not finding his groove. There's too many holes on this New Jersey Devils team right now, and the Colorado Avalanche are still a really, really good hockey team. I think they've been playing poorly of late. I think they can correct that. This is a great spot to them. Money line's a little bit inflated. I don't think this game is going to stay as close as people want it to be. So hammering away at the in regulation line, you can get it close to plus money, which is really, really good when you consider just how many superstars are missing on the New Jersey side. So those are the 2 that I have definitely, again, after I've done emptying the bank account on Philadelphia, then whatever I have left, then I've sprinkled it.
I got Flyers first half puck line -0.5 a goal at +130. That feels pretty good. They just got to be up 1-0 after the first.
That's it. And there's a good chance they're up 2 or 3-0 anyway. Right. So if there's a -1.5 on the first period, I'm smashing that as well.
One of the early values this morning that I thought I was looking at was Detroit +130 on the money line. Now they're +110. Rangers without Igor, no Adam Fox here. Is there any value with the Red Wings against the Rangers tonight?
I mean, Dylan Larkin is still a game time decision. I think that affects a lot there. Ville Husso is confirmed to get the start. He hasn't played very well. I mean, don't blink now, but Jonathan Quick has been decent, and that is a lot more than any Rangers fan will want to tell you because we expected that to blow up pretty quickly. The Raiders are a good overall hockey team. They're solid up front. Their defensive core, yes, without Adam Fox is problematic, but they still have more than enough guys on the back end to really solidify what they need to accomplish. Jacob Trouba can still play some hockey. Keandre Miller is perfectly fine. Lindgren as well. It's not great, but it's much better than most defensive cores in this league anyways. No Igor obviously is definitely going into a haunted house without a light, because you don't know how this is going to end. Jonathan Quick could easily just explode and combust, and that's the end of that night. But I have looked at the Rangers. I can't pull the trigger because Jonathan Quick is just, it's too rich. And again, I've already spent every dollar on Philadelphia, so it's only so much to go around tonight.
Our producer in chat says Adam Bernard loves Colorado on the puck line tonight. Looking at BetMGM, it's minus plus 125 on the puck line there. Would you consider that too if you like Colorado that much?
I think there is value there. I don't know if I'm still worried about how New Jersey plays, just because they do have a ton of skilled players. Like Jesper Bratt still exists. Tyler Toffoli has been really good. Dougie Hamilton is there. Luke Hughes is still there. There's more than enough to keep this game relatively close. I think the parts that kind of favor Colorado, you're traveling to Colorado, which is extremely tough for teams to play at altitude. There's a reason why when teams go to Colorado, they struggle. It's tough. Also, I think Alexander Gorgiev's going to get the start there. Great goalie. He's definitely an upgrade from Vitek Banasek, who's going to play tonight. So I can't see enough for New Jersey to keep this close. I just also think with the way that Colorado has played recently, they've been shut out 3 times. They've played some mediocre competition as well. So I don't know if I want to smash the puck line completely. I think there is value there. I know some people are trying to turn on the other side and look at maybe the Devils at plus 1.5, which I think they can keep that close. But I am not smashing away at Colorado's puck line tonight.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite goal scorer prop for tonight?
So outside of Travis Konechny, which is obviously going to happen, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. I have dangled with a little bit of Cole Caulfield. We know that the Montreal Canadiens can score goals-ish, and his name is Cole Caulfield. He's the one who's going to be firing the puck away. On the flip side, Nikita Kucherov continues to remind us that he is a really good player. Everybody else keeps talking about all these other superstars that are around the league, but Nikita Kucherov is still there. He can still cause some damage. And because we're talking about Colorado, Mikko Rantanen is an elite goal scorer in the NHL. I don't think people realize just how good he is. We talk about Nathan McKinnon all the time. We talk about Cale Makar all the time. That is fine. But Mikko Rantanen is there. And like I said, with all the injuries to the New Jersey Devils, there's a little bit of value there that I would definitely get on board on and try to cash in on.
Any other player props that you like, whether it's goalies or shots or anything else that you're looking at tonight?
I've been trying to convince myself that Jacob Markstrom is not a problem. I know he's 1-6-1 and he is pretty terrible. But the Nashville Predators are just, their offense is not very good. I'm not buying into Ryan O'Reilly's hot start. I do think that they'll be able to generate some shots just because Calgary plays so poorly. So I would take the over on the save prop wherever you can get it on Jacob Markstrom. It's this is a team that should play better, and Jacob Markstrom is a good goalie. You didn't go out and pay him a whole bunch of money here to look like Jack Campbell. So at some point, he's going to be able to correct the issues. And Calgary's just got to play better. There's no excuses anymore. We can't blame Sutter now anymore. The team's not playing well, but I do think there's some value there. I would definitely take it. I've also taken a look at Marc-Andre Fleury. I know that the Minnesota Wild they can't stop the puck. Philip Gustafsson hasn't been very good. Fleury has been, he's 38 years old, so there's only so much you can expect him to do here. But he has been all right. The Islanders are just it's the Islanders. No part of them is exciting. I don't believe people watch them for fun. I believe it's part of punishment. Bo Horvat is not going to play tonight. So this is a boring hockey team. I would expect the total, if it's flirting around, it's flirting around 6, which I think is because Minnesota's played so poorly defensively. But I think in reality, it should be 5.5. So the under there is probably where I'd target. So I have shares as well of Marc-Andre Fleury. If you could pick him to pick a win, go ahead. His save props is pretty low, but I think they can get the over. I also think there's maybe some overtime in that game. You're looking at kind of like a 1-1 kind of, both teams with like 24 shots after 3 periods kind of thing. But those are the 2 goalies that I have mixed feelings about that could help you either take down your GPP or at least put some money in your bank account.
Chris, we thank you for coming on here today. Those of you tuning in, remember, give him a follow at FuzzyChris91. Get in the Fantasy Farm Discord as well. You can always find him in there chatting it out as well. He's even got his own Discord channel in there. You want to go hang out.
That is only for boneless chicken wings talk.
Boneless chicken wing talk.
That is that is it. And we can, for people who have all their hot takes and stuff like that. I'm getting a lot of turns, a lot of people taking victory laps after 10 games because the Boston Bruins are doing really well. So some of those people have kind of.
I don't know how it's happening, honestly, to be truthful. They've had a very easy schedule. So
a broken clock is right twice a day, and those people are coming in twice a day to just remind me.
Mason Lohrei, Matt Patra, they're all coming up and
look, it's going well. That's it. But yes, that's what it's for. Or you can just hang out in the Discord and ask me which Philadelphia skater is on the third line who has a goal prop that's worth it.
Exactly. All right, Chris, thanks for coming on here today, man.
Thanks for having me, boys.
Thanks, Chris.
Again, go give Chris a follow at FuzzyChris91. All your NHL and boneless wing talk you can handle over there on X, Twitter, or whatever we call it these days. Dan, let's turn the page here. Let's close this show out today. Talk a little college basketball. How does that sound?
That sounds awesome to me.
All right, let's give your best bets here for tonight's college basketball slate. What are we looking at for some college basketball here this evening?
Oh, a little new graphic there from our producer. Got Gary Williams and Juan Dixon watching some tape with me in the Maryland video room.
There you go.
We got Maryland is playing tonight. They're playing Mount St. Mary's. I do not have a pick on that game because the spread's like 20, and it should be an easy Maryland win. By the way, last night, I don't know if you saw it, James Madison beat Michigan State.
Yeah, it's big already upset over for them, right? Like just a big upset right away, knocking them out of the top 10.
And yesterday on the show, I was talking to Howard, saying how a lot of these top teams, top 25 teams, have these like easier matchups scheduled, to start the season.
Isn't Madison usually like a tournament team too? Or not?
Yeah, they're the favorites in the Sun Belt Conference. So that was it was a tough first matchup for them. So, but tonight we do have like a really good game. Auburn Baylor is the no NBA tonight. This is the game to watch. Some future NBA guys definitely playing in this game, and I'm going the over in this one. It's a tight spread. Been kind of going back and forth between Auburn and Baylor. I think Baylor can win it, but overall, I think this is going to be one of those higher scoring games. We got 2 teams that have really good offenses over the last couple years. Auburn for sure, one of the best offensive centers in the country, Johnny Broome, just a stud in the paint, and I don't think Baylor has the guys to really slow him down on that end of the floor, losing their center, Flo Thamba, from last year. So I think Broome is going to really anchor that. They also bring in a pair of talented scorers in the backcourt with 5-star freshman Aiden Holloway, FIU transfer Denver Jones, who averaged 20 points per game last year. So this is a really good backcourt for Auburn. Also have KD Johnson, kind of like an offensive spark plug as their 6th man coming off the bench. So the offense for Auburn, I think, is going to be really good here. Worry about Auburn's defense, though. They did, Broome is, has some upside as like a shot blocker, rim protector, but besides that, like their backcourt defense, I don't think is going to be great. And I see Baylor coming in here. They replaced a lot of their guys from last year, like Adam Flagler, Keontae George, LJ Cryer, all off of last year's team, but they replaced them with 3 really good guards and wings: Ray J. Dennis, Jayden Nunn, Jacoby Walter. Their offense, I don't think, is going to take a step back. But all those guys, besides Jayden Nunn, they're not great defensively. So I think this is going to be kind of like one of those back and forth games. Sure. Going to be tight throughout. Baylor struggled defensively at times last year, and I don't see it being much better this season with the kind of the changeover especially in the guards. And I mentioned, their center, Flo Thamba, gone now. So I think it's just going to be an offensive game. We've seen the total rise a little bit. 147.5 is on BetMGM, but whatever you can get at the lowest, I just think it's going to be one of those games where I think it's going to be finishing like in the 150s. So take the over.
I hope so, because I just placed
There you
that
go.
bet here. Let's go on to our next game here tonight. What are we looking at?
All right, so the next one, maybe we get an upset, James Madison type upset here. Going with UNC Asheville on the road here against Michigan. UNC Asheville, this is a team that made the tournament last year. Similar kind of vibe with James Madison. They're one of the better mid-major teams out there, and this is a really tough spot for Michigan to start the season because Michigan lost their three best players, their three top scorers from last year. Hunter Dickinson, now at Kansas, Jet Howard, and Kobe Buffkin are now in the NBA. That changeover, I think, is just really worrisome for me because, they bring in guys, some transfers, they have a couple of holdovers from last year, but their offense is now having to rely heavily on Doug McDaniel from last year and then transferring to Mari Burnett, who both those guys just have never been like the lead offensive, alpha playmaker for a team yet in college. And I just worry about, this Michigan offense getting buckets and stretching out a double-digit lead over a really good UNC Asheville team who they have one of the best mid-major players in the country, Drew Pember, a big man who he could have went pro. He could have went to another, another big-time power conference team in the transfer portal, but he stated he opted to stay at UNC Asheville, and he's going to be really good. He's going to be a handful for Michigan tonight. Overall, their roster, though, that they return a lot of the guys from that team that made the NCAA tournament last year, and just kind of one of those, you can't overlook this team. And I just have a lot of questions for Michigan coming into the season. I need to see them answer it first before I, can trust them. And the other part of this is that their head coach, Juwan Howard, he's not coaching tonight or to start the season. He had off-season heart surgery. So he's out right now. Not suspended. He might get suspended eventually because he's been suspended. But
I said, wasn't there like an issue with him where he was suspended?
Yeah, I think last year. Yep. But I think that's just kind of a loss for them, especially when you're bringing in all these new pieces, trying to start something from scratch basically after losing again. Hunter Dickinson, Jet Howard, and Kobe Buffkin were a huge part of this team last year. So give me UNC Asheville plus 11.5 on BetMGM is what I got it at. I think it's a 10.5 now, but I still think this is going to be a tight one, and they're going to make Michigan work for it here.
I like it. Anytime you get some big spreads here, you can always take advantage of maybe even a backdoor cover or something, right, and come through here. So I like it there. Do you have any plays available on FantasyLime or the discard?
Yeah, I got the whole college basketball DFS playbook that's up live on FantasyLime. 11-game slate on DraftKings. Some of the big spreads and stuff, but still plenty of like top DFS plays. We got like Creighton on the slate tonight. St. John's with Rick Pitino back. Like should be some fun games tonight. And that Auburn Baylor game is the headliner. So yeah, check out the college basketball DFS playbook for tonight. We had some, definitely had some good plays in there last night for the start of the season. We'll be bringing this to you all season long.
Awesome. All right, guys, before we get going here, I got to let you all know we got an awesome night over on the BettorCast. We're gamifying the NHL slate on the BettorCast app. Tonight we got the Red Wings Rangers in Madison Square Garden, 7:30, an original six matchup there on the BettorCast. Take sure you answer those pregame questions. Test your knowledge by predicting what will happen in real time. No purchase or subscription is necessary. Always free to play. You can win tickets. The more questions you answer, the more redeemable tickets you win for authentic NHL gear and collectibles. So download the free BettorCast app in the Apple app and Google Play stores. You must be 18 of age or older. So make sure you scan that QR code here as well. Get in with us tonight for tonight's NHL matchup between the Red Wings and Rangers. Servo, you're back with Bender there tomorrow. I'll be back next Tuesday. You got Grande on Thursday. good week ahead for everybody here for NFL Week 10. NBA is back with a monster slate tomorrow. And, of course, more college football and basketball heading all of your way. For now, though, we will catch you guys tomorrow.
Later.
Bettor Sports Betting on the Bettor Sports Network.